Please, the speakers, please, you can turn on your video. Okay, so we have enough people to kickstart now. So, okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this special World Earth Day webinar hosted by the Foundation for Sustainable Smallholder Solutions. My name is Clinton Mena, and I'm the communications manager for the foundation, and I'll also be moderating today's session. So I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us as we explore how regenerative agriculture can strengthen climate resilience among smallholder farmers in Nigeria. And we'll be doing this with a practical insight from our ESTRRA project that we are currently implementing in northern Bauchi State. Today's conversation is particularly important as we reflect on the growing climate challenges that a lot of smallholder farmers are experiencing, like erratic rainfall, declining soil fertility, and increasing vulnerability to these factors. So, and this webinar is on how we can respond with solutions to these challenges, solutions that are sustainable and also scalable. So we have a distinguished panel of experts that are working with the foundation, who will share real-world insight about these challenges and how to overcome them, solutions to mitigate the damages that these challenges can cause. So before we go into the discussion, I would like to give you a brief explanation about the ESTRRA project so that you have an understanding of what we are talking about, what the ESTRRA project is all about. So the ESTRRA project, which is empowerment, is an acronym for empowerment of smallholders to thrive and build climate resilience through regenerative agriculture. The ESTRRA project is a 3-year initiative that is being implemented by the foundation with funding support from Heineken Africa Foundation. The project is designed to reach 14,000 smallholder farmers directly, with a strong focus on women and youth. Over 75,000 indirect beneficiaries across 7 local government areas. It combines climate-smart agriculture, regenerative land restoration, and market-driven approaches to improve productivity, incomes, and long-term resilience among smallholder farmers. A key component of this project is the restoration of 29,000 hectares of degraded land through interventions such as earth-borne construction, the establishment of food forests, alongside a farmer-level support that is delivered through our farmer hub model. So that is that about the ESTRRA project. So I will go straight and introduce the speakers for today's session. I don't know if Dr. Ruben is here. I can't see. Okay, I'll start with the first speaker who is here with us. Is Farmer Timothy Azakere. Farmer Timothy is an experienced agribusiness professional with a strong background in agronomy, food security, research, and market development. He currently serves as the technical lead for the Foundation for Sustainable Smallholder Solutions. He leads the implementation of the farmer hub model in Nigeria, with a keen focus on horticulture, youth development, and building sustainable agricultural systems across Nigeria's smallholder communities. Let us welcome Farmer Timothy Azakere. We're glad to have you with us.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. And thank you everyone for joining. we will be having a very nice time this morning.
Okay, I'll go on to the next speaker, who is Philip Otese. Philip Otese is a seasoned monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning specialist with over a decade of experience driving result-based system across agriculture, food security, nutrition, and livelihood programs. He is the mill manager for the foundation, where he leads the design and implementation of robust monitoring frameworks that generate high quality data, strengthen accountability, and support evidence-driven program delivery. He brings a strong expert in impact evaluation, data system, and adaptive learning, ensuring that programs not only meet donor requirements but also delivers measurable, sustainable outcome for communities. So, thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Philip. We're glad to have you with us. Okay, Dr. Ruben has been able to join us. So, while Philip sorts out his audio, our third speaker is Dr. Ruben Solomon, who is a senior agronomist at the foundation. He has over 2 decades experience in advancing climate resilience agriculture, regenerative land management, and smallholder livelihood systems across Nigeria and West Africa. It brings a strong focus on translating scientific research into practical field-level solutions that restore degraded landscapes while improving productivity and rural incomes. His expertise spans climate-smart agronomy, soil fertility restoration, integrated pest management, and ecosystem-based approaches, with growing contribution to mangrove and coastal restoration through species site analysis, nursery planning, and adaptive restoration design. So, Dr. Ruben, thank you for joining us. You're welcome to our World Earth Day webinar. I don't know
Thank
if
you,
you can
sir.
hear me, Dr. Ruben.
Yeah, I can hear you.
The first question is to Farmer Tim. And this question is to set stage for the whole conversation. So just giving a broad perspective of what we're here to discuss. So in the context of Northern Bauchi, where this ESTRRA project is being implemented, how should we understand regenerative agriculture in practical farmer level terms?
Thank you very much, Mena, for that question. You have already given a background of what we're doing in Bauchi under the ESTRRA project. For us, regenerative agriculture in this project is trying to do everything possible or anything possible to keep the soil alive. Many people don't know that the soil is a living thing. So all the processes that are employed to keep the soil alive while producing food are the things we are doing. So for us in the ESTRRA project, we are setting up or establishing agro-food forests for the farmers in those regions. We are encouraging mixed farming, that's not just crop, but also integrating animal farming. We're also planting cover crops. We're training them how to plant cover crops on their fields to be able to shield the soil against harsh weather conditions of the north. We're also encouraging them to use organic manures more than the chemical fertilizers that are available. We're helping them to set up structures like the earth bonds or the half moons to be able to trap enough water for the soil, for the plants to have and grow and do better. Thank you.
So the same question, can Dr. Ruben, so in the context of Northern Bauchi, so how should we understand regenerative agriculture? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Dr. Ruben?
Yeah. Good morning, all. Regenerative agriculture is a holistic land management techniques that rehabilitate the soil health, enhance biodiversity, and sequester carbon to combat climate change. As my manager spoke earlier, these key farming practices that he mentioned are the ones that is targeted towards addressing this particular problem. Use of regenerative agriculture helps a lot in combating climate change and also increases biodiversity and improves soil health.
So I think I'll just go straight uh, to the next question, which is to Farmer Tim. And so this question is to understand why regenerative agriculture is not just relevant but urgent as we mark the World Earth Day today. And this is in particular to smallholders being vulnerable to climate factors, especially in the northern Bauchi region.
Okay, let me just paint a very quick scenario. When you take a patient to the hospital and the patient is almost losing out his pulse. Sorry, Mena, I can hear myself echoing.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear my voice. Okay.
Okay, sorry, let me mute myself.
Okay. All right, let me start off again. So when you take a patient to the hospital and the person is almost losing out pulse or the heartbeat, what the medical persons there at the hospital do is that they go into an emergency state immediately to see how they can resuscitate the person, stabilize the person, bring back the pulse, and then let the person live again. The same thing is happening to our soils. Remember when I opened up this conversation, I said that the soil is a living thing. And soils in the north mostly if not completely dead or almost dead, and then they are in this state. That is why it is very urgent and very important for us to do what we are doing to be able to bring life back into the soil. And this can be possible through regenerative agriculture, trying to put all these systems that I mentioned earlier in place to see that the soil is back again. Therefore, the World Earth Day gives us this platform to be able to amplify the importance of our collective efforts in keeping the soil alive, which is a big contributor to the healthiness of the entire earth. Thank you. Mena, you are mute.
Oh, sorry about that. I say thank you very much, Farmer Tim, for that response. So days like this present us that opportunity to bring to fore conversations about restoring the vitality of the earth that produces the food that we eat. So let's now turn to how this project was designed. I'm going to Mr. Philip. So the ESTRRA project, I know it was informed by a baseline study. So what were the key insights that did this study reveal about farmers' needs and vulnerability to these factors makes regenerative agriculture something needed to be implemented in the region this project is being done?
All right, thank you very much, Mena. Just like my colleagues have started the conversation, I would also start that way. The ESTRRA project is really a project informed by the problems that we have envisioned in the north part of Nigeria, especially in this region where we are implementing the project. The baseline revealed quite a lot. We used, basically, being that the environment is predominantly agrarian, we had to just do a random sampling approach to get mostly the farmer groups as well as households that are majority farmers, farming households. In fact, almost all of them are farming households. We looked at that and then discovered that indeed, first of it, there's low productivity. And this is driven basically by what my colleague mentioned earlier, degraded soils, climate stress. And many farmers are experiencing this a lot. You know, when the rain falls there, it's erratic. When it's not raining, the soil nutrient is depleted because the environment there is experiencing high sunlight, dryness, and a lot of other climatic factors that are affecting it. In fact, at baseline, we saw that over 41% of land in that region where we are implementing is degraded completely. Over 60% of it is completely deforested, at the point where people are cutting down trees just to make sure that they get more land that is fertile, it becomes a problem. We also discovered that there's limited access to services, all right, to extension services, inputs like improved crop varieties, for instance. So being that one of the discoveries we had there was that farmers, being smallholders, the average land ownership there is just about 1.8 hectares. We saw in the project design that we needed to bring in improved seedlings, okay, because that would now increase their yield, even in that small hectare or land that they have, that they own. And it will now solve quite a number of problems, including economic and nutritional tendencies that are affecting them there also. One of all those things that we discovered again was that there were a lot of gender disparities over there. We have women who are in the agri sector, and in fact in the northern part of Nigeria, predominantly the labor force in the farm, all right, on the farms. However, they have limited access to the decision of which crop to grow. They have limited access to the decision of even how to spend the monies that even come into the family. All right, this is now becoming a problem because year in, year out, projects are targeted the women, and yet they are not given that opportunity to do this. So the ESTRRA project is very strategic on this, to try and involve more women, try and advocate for more women into land ownership, try and involve more women into decision making, crops to grow, educate them on what kind of crops and what these varieties can yield in that time. So overall, the baseline has showed us that farmers are not just facing just a production problem, right? But it's a systemic problem, which includes both the inputs for the farm, knowledge, markets, and climate resilience together with that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip, for that answer. You practically answered my next question. So I'll skip that and then go straight to Dr. Ruben. So this is, let us go deeper into the implementation of the project. Since Mr. Philip has taken us through what informed the project, the baseline study, what is revealed to us, we'll go deeper into implementation. So Dr. Ruben, can you walk us through the major components of the project, particularly the land restoration efforts, such as the fruit forest, the earth bonds that are aimed at regenerating degraded land? Please unmute yourself. Can anyone hear Dr. Ruben?
Of mango, citrus, and cashew, papaya, moringa. So these 3 seedlings are ready and the identification of land is almost complete. We are going to set up these 3 forests across these 7 LGS for farmers to be able to learn from it in order to expand to other lands in the area. The Earthbound, which is the half-moon technology, is a technology of land restoration, especially degraded land, where you make a bond in the shape of the half-moon, where water will be conserved in this half-moon, and then you will now plant your desired crop in the half-moon. And then you discover that the land will be restored and even the soil health will be improved. So this particular project is going to also happen across the 7 local government areas in northern Bauchi. We are making like a pilot learning site for the farmers. From there, they can now take up the practice and put it into their farms. Over the next 3 years, we are going to train and retrain the farmers and also demonstrate those proven technologies in land restoration, especially the fruit forest and the half-moon technology.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ruben. So let's go straight to from my team. So the project, we have a target of 14,000 direct farmers reach. That the beneficiaries looking at 14,000, and also 29,000 hectares of land to be restored. So in terms of these numbers, what does success look like on the ground for a farmer and his community?
My NGO spirit is trying to overtake this question, but let me keep it down. So for us in the developmental sector, what we want to hear is numbers. It will surprise you to know that in this particular project, it's not just about numbers, it's about the actual impact on the ground. So the successes we're going to be measuring will not be an assessment external. It is what the farmers are testifying to. So I'm going to narrow that down to 3 points. Number 1 is when a farmer is now making on the same piece of land twice or more as much as what he was making before, with less of the cost he was using before, due to the adoption of regenerative practices that we've taught through the project. That we can term as success. 2 is that when the farmer clearly sees that these lands that were dead are now coming back to life because of the regenerative practices that they have adopted through the project, that we can term as success. Number 3 is that there's another component of the project that has to do with the economic and welfare of the farmers. Most farmers in this region, and it also came out through our baseline study, that work only 4 to 5 months in a year. What happens to the 6-7 months that are remaining? So what we are doing in this project is to see that farmers are engaged all through the 12 months of the year. And this is through diversification of income, through processing. So we're teaching them, we're installing or supporting them with processing machines to be able to process their produce, add value to it. So while they are not on the field, they are in their semi-factories or stalls producing or adding value to some of the products they have produced, like rice milling, like oil extractions. All that are things that we are introducing to that particular region. So when the farmer standard of living is increased through the diverse sources of income as a support from this project, we can term that as success. Thank you.
Thank you very much from our team. And it's good to point that once the life of one farmer is improved, it does cascade down to the community. So in a way, improving the livelihood of a farmer, training one farmer on regenerative practices is more like training the whole community, because what he learns, it cascades down to other people, and other people will emulate when they see the success. So thank you very much for that response. So now let's turn our focus to what this means in practice for farmers. Let me turn or before that, let me ask Mr. Philip, what indicators you're tracking through the mill system for this project in order to measure progress in income, productivity, and also resilience?
Okay. So the ESTRRA project, basically, just like my colleague just mentioned, it encompasses all the stress lines, okay, that affect productivity basically on the farm and off farm, and especially as it links the farmers and their livelihood that's in their homes also. So we're looking at three major categories of indicators: productivity, the income angle, and the resilience angle. So on the productivity, of course, we're looking at the yield. We want more yield right now. And so we're looking at the yield per hectare, what that comes up to. We're looking at the adoption rate, all right, for regenerative practices. We're looking at the area, for instance, that is now going to be under climate smart agriculture, and how the farmers, we're going to use that to improve in their productivity and improving whatever output that comes out of their farms. In the income indicators, we're looking broadly around average monthly farm income, right? Value, volume of the produce that is sold. We're looking at market access. Market access. Now we have the baseline telling us quite a number of people, over 70% of people are not having access. All right, some of they are experiencing a lot of post-harvest losses because of this. All right, so we want to see how we can measure this at the end of the project to see how that is improved. And also we are looking at the gender, the resilience factors, which include the gender aspect. All right, women and youth participation in this. We want to, we're having a gender ratio of about 60% on this project for women. All right, and then youth participation over 50% of it. So in our programming at this point, we have to have that number of people that are in it, being that these are indeed the people who can train, who can move up, who will sustain these projects in generations to come. So these are broadly those kind of categories of indicators that we are measuring to try and see that we are on track, to track the gender disaggregation data, to use tools like baseline, endline comparisons, and then also to come up with an outcome monitoring to measure the change over the time that we are working there. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Philip, for that response. So let me just add at this point that at the end of this webinar, there'll be a short period for questions and answers. So if you have questions, you can please type them in the chat section of this, and then I'll do well to lift them from there and then ask the speakers. So if you have any questions, please note them down and send them to the chat. So let's go to you, Dr. Ruben. So now I want to focus on what this means in practice for the farmers. Among the regenerative practices that are being promoted, which one can farmers adopt quickly, even with limited resources?
Yeah, among all these practices, farmers can adopt the use of organic manure. They can adopt the use of cover cropping. They can also adopt the use of water conservation techniques. Because even before this project, there's what we call tie ridge, where farmers do tie their ridge so that they could prevent water from escaping from their farm, so that during dry period, their farm will be having some moisture level in the field. So these are the practices that farmers can quickly adopt, and even the agroforestry, because most farmers are planting trees already in their farms. 1 or 2 trees, you go and see 1 or 2 mango tree in the farm. So immediately we now sensitize them and encourage them, they will pick up from there and continue.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruben. So, Farmer Tim, so how do we ensure that farmers can adopt these practices without risking their short-term yields or income?
Okay. In short, just 2 words: trust building. Dr. Ruben made mention of that in another form, which I'm going to explain. But to give further explanation on that, how do you build trust with farmers? And Dr. Ruben also said that in his earlier answer, that we are building or setting up demonstration or pilot centers. That is where we're going to build the trust of these farmers. Hey, come and see what we're doing here, and evaluate it by yourself. If you see the results that we said is going to give, then you go and adopt it. So by that, nobody is risking or losing out on anything. We have these centers that we're going to set up in all the 7 local governments of Bauchi North, and all the regenerative agricultural practices mentioned by Dr. Ruben and the climate resilient practices will be practically taught there. So it's not something in the classroom and then we'll be reading out things from the book. We'll practically do it there with them, and they can see, they can measure, they can evaluate. With that, it will increase adoption, because this system forms this system from experience has proven to be very, very effective in increasing adoption. Farmers are tired of hearing and hearing. They want to see it. And these centers that we're setting up will give them what they want to see, and the adoption will surely increase. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Farmer Tim. So, to Dr. Ruben, go to you again. So, in this project, we know that seed and climate information are very critical. And how do improve seeds, varieties, climate advisory services complement regenerative practices on this project? So how are you making use of the seed information about the varieties of seeds and also the climate information, cascading it out to these farmers? How are you doing, and how is it critical to the success of this project?
Thank you. Looking at the fact that I came from a background of where we have been working on seed for the past 20 years, and also looking at the present climate scenarios, most of the crops we are going to recommend to the farmers and also demonstrate are climate smart varieties, varieties that are adaptable to this kind of climate that we are experiencing now. We are also going to leverage on the NIMET predictions to follow up with how we can advise farmers on a right variety to plant at what time. So one of the major things that we are going to do here is we are going to orient farmers on when to plant which variety. It's very, very important. Most farmers across Nigeria and even the north plant varieties that they think yield high, not knowing that the variety is not adaptable to their condition. So we are going to match condition versus variety so that farmers can be able to get more yields, and the resilience can also be there based on the varieties that are adaptable to this particular region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ruben. So we've talked about the project in terms of how to improve adoption, what the farmers, the practices, what the practices that the farmers can implement with ease, that will not that will not move them so far away from what they already know. So so this is identifying that adoption is often one of the biggest challenges when it comes to agricultural transformation. So to you, Mr. Philip, from your experience, what are the biggest barriers preventing farmers from adopting regenerative practices? Because regenerative practices, they are not new. They are not new practices. It's something that have been for years. What is the barrier? What is it that's stopping farmers from adopting these practices? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I would start from where my colleague Dr. Ruben stopped. We are trying to educate these farmers on improved varieties and high yielding crop varieties because it's lack of knowledge. And many farmers are unfamiliar completely about regenerative practices, or in fact, skeptical about the results because some of this take quite a while. The improved varieties that we have that are adopted by a lot of people across the country, by the major agric and seed producing companies. Usually, you know, the farmers in there, they would recycle their seeds, right? They will plant this year, plant again next year. One of the things about some of these improved varieties is that it is difficult to recycle. You don't recycle them, you have to buy, right? But the yield is large. You get a lot of yield from compared to what you use the local varieties to do. So that alone is one of the things that we are working on to see how we can, mitigate that from being a barrier to them. One other thing that we found out also is that it's the access to access constraints, limited access to, like you mentioned, organic manure, organic inputs, and even extension support. And that is where, my colleague from my team mentioned earlier, the hub model comes in. You know, the farmers have had a lot of constraint in getting information. Extension services have been very limited in these communities. And so we are through the hub models trying to see how we can reach out to them. But this alone has been really something that has hindered them a lot from adopting this. And we are seeing that as a hindrance. However, the project is trying as best as it can to bring up mitigating factors to see how we can really penetrate and speak with these farmers and convince them to use the improved methods to get them to a higher productivity in their farms here.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip, for your response to the question. So, and when Mr. Philip was talking earlier about what the baseline revealed, one of the insights he highlighted that the baseline revealed is that women make up a large part of the labor force in Northern Bauchi, and this informed the focus of the project. So to you, from our team, this project places a strong emphasis on women and youth and how they are being engaged, not just as beneficiaries, but as drivers for the adoption and innovation. So how critical are these categories of people to the success of this project?
Thank you very much, Mena, for that question. I will start by saying that we have, as an organization, a selection checklist that has the criteria for selecting beneficiaries. We have this checklist, and some of the things on this checklist is integrity. You must have integrity within the community where you're living. You need to be an agripreneur. We don't want to start from nothing. You just have to be doing something for us to onboard you as a beneficiary. And also for the age bracket, we are looking for young people who are energetic, who are also a transformation agents that we can use as our ambassadors in these communities. And to cap that up, we have a system called the Community Project Implementation Committee, CPIC. And this CPIC is a group of selected community members that support the project team on the ground on voluntary basis with the planning. So we are quite new to some of these communities. We have people who are already existing in those communities, and some of the farmers or beneficiaries we're going to be selecting are people that are well known in the community. So the committee helps us in screening some of these people and saying, hey, no, this person is not credible. This person, when he collected money the other time, he didn't pay back, then we cannot use such a person as a transformation agent. So they are also helping us in overseeing the execution of this developmental project at the community level. So this has also created a buy-in for other women and young people within the project area to submit themselves for screening based on our checklist. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Famatin. So another question to you, Famatin. So we talked. We mentioned the Farmers Hub model, which is one of the flagship product of this foundation, through which a lot of our projects are implemented. So I want to know, what role does the Farmer Hub play in accelerating the adoption and sustaining behavioral change amongst the smallholder farmers that this project is going to reach?
So one day, I have been on the Farmers Hub project for a while now, since inception in Nigeria. And I was just thinking about it one day, and I thought to myself, when someone is sick, they go to the hospital. When your vehicle has issues, you take it to the mechanic site. But where do farmers go to when they have a problem? And that really hit me on the importance of the Farmers Hub to driving behavioral change, to bringing about innovations in the agri space. So the Farmers Hub is a one-stop shop commercial platform that provides access. So access to information, access to finance, access to markets, aggregation, access to quality inputs. I was doing a value chain analysis on rice some time ago, and some of it, sorry, actor mapping, and some of the women complained that most of the times they want to get quality inputs, but they don't get it. They don't even know where to get it from, especially because they are even females. So the Farmers Hub came in to solve problems like that. Whatever a farmer gets at the Farmers Hub is genuine, is directly from the company, is not adulterated, and whatever it is said to do, the farmers will get that same result if they use them. Seed access is also another thing that the Farmers Hub provides. So we work in sync with seed companies and research institutes. They produce or breed the seeds. The seed companies multiply the seeds. The hubs serve as centers where these seeds are displayed and known by the farmers. If there is an improved variety right now, not many farmers will even know about it. But farmers that patronize the hub will always have the advantage of knowing that, hey, there is this new variety that is in town and is up for sale at the Farmers Hub. So for me, just to wrap it up, it is a reference center. It is a beacon of hope for the farmers. It is a school. It is a hospital. And as a reference center, I said it is now a place where farmers will always go to if they have issues. People can always, direct people to that place. Hey, go to that center. You'll have your problem sorted. A beacon of hope is a place that whenever there are issues, you know that there is hope in that place, if I go there, I'll find hope to my farm. I'll find solutions to my farm. A school is a learning place. We do a lot of trainings and centers, bridging the gap between the extension services that the government is rendering now to the farmers. So there are a lot of trainings. We train the hub managers that are the managers of those centers to become extension service delivery agents. So they also deliver trainings. We support them with the knowledge, with the trainings, and they now cascade those trainings through the farmers hub to other people. As a hospital, the farmers can get remedy for the problems that they have now on their fields. They know where they can get to get that support. So whenever there is relevance, when relevance is built with trust, every other thing falls in place, and that is what the hub is doing. It's creating that relevance, and everything coming out from there is coming out with trust, because the farmers now trust those centers as centers that are very reliable. So that is what the hub is doing to change. Now farmers know that if they go somewhere, they will be told the truth. The hub managers are not just there to make profit, but to inform. So they go there and they tell them the truth. This chemical, this is how much it is. This is how to use it. This is when to use it. Not that they are selling it because they have the highest profit margin on that particular product. No, things like that are not done at the center. Thank you.
From a team, so to bring this conversation home, you've explained to us what the Farmers Hub does, and we have you've given us like an understanding of what the Farmers Hub is. So for this project, in terms of regenerative agriculture, so how does the Farmer Hub help in accelerating adoption of these regenerative practices and ensuring that the behavior change from adoption becomes like a practice that farmers carry on long after the project has left the community?
So when the project leaves the community, the hubs are not going to leave the community. That's the good thing about it. The hubs are going to be stationed in those places. And another interesting thing about the Farmers Hub is it creates a family between the farmers. One of our centers, let me just digress a little, in Makarfi, I call it the tea hub. The hub manager every morning boils a kettle of tea, and farmers coming around, passing by, asking questions, can just sit down, chat, take a cup of tea, and then proceed to their farms. Now, within those few minutes, questions are asked, information is shared. So when we equipped the hubs with regenerative practices, the hub manager transfers that information to the farmers within those times of meetings. And also the hub center, which I forgot to mention, has a demonstration site. And those demonstration sites will also be used as experimental or testing places or pilot places for the regenerative agricultural practices that we will be introducing to these communities. So we believe that this interaction that happens around the hub will create this behavioral change. A farmer is always interested in what will increase his yield and also how he will get more interest. So if he sees something good in another man's or another farmer's farm, he will always want to stop by and ask questions. How did you make it better? Why is your farm better than mine? And with that process, that interaction, that engagement, these regenerative agricultural practices will be transmitted to them. And by adoption, it will cause a behavioral change.
Very much from our team. So I'd just like to add here that in case you're just joining us, the ESTRRA project is a project being implemented by the Foundation for Sustainable Smallholder Solutions with partnership funding, with funding from the Heineken African Foundation. And this project is currently being implemented in 7 local governments in Bauchi State, the northern part of Bauchi State. We'll go straight to talking about outcomes and impact. Dr. Ruben, this question is to you. In practical terms, how will regenerative agriculture improve farmers' ability to cope with drought? Because, you know, we've mentioned the challenges, the problems that the farmers are going through. We know that drought is a major problem that is affecting the productivity of farmers in this region. So how will these regenerative agricultural practices improve their ability to cope with drought, with poor soil, and also unpredictable rainfall?
Thank you, Mena, for the question. Number one is use of improved variety that is drought tolerant, which we say is climate smart. Those varieties are able to resist some level of drought if planted, and it has been tested. By use of regenerative agricultural practices like mulching or cover cropping, it will help retain moisture in the soil, thereby reducing the effect of drought on the field. The use of organic manure also improve the soil structure, thereby retaining more moisture and improve resistance to drought. The use of those practices we said, like the land reclamation practices using the earth bonds, also conserve water and reduces drought in the field. Most of these practices, if put together by a farmer holistically, will definitely, in the long run, reduce the effect of drought on the field. Drought is usually caused by severe high temperature, which is hitting the bare land, which doesn't have any cover, and thereby hitting the living organisms in the soil, both living and non-living organisms, and making them vulnerable to high temperature, and some of them will even die. But by use of these practices, the cover cropping, composting, water retention, water harvesting technology, all this will help the soil to be able to resist the drought, and it will also improve the fertility of the soil.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruben. So let's go to Philip, Mr. Philip. So how do these practices that we've been talking about, how do they improve? Like, I want to understand how each practice, how will they improve income for a farmer, improve food security for communities and even the country at large, and even the well-being, the nutrition level of households in this community?
Okay, thank you, Mena. Thank you for that question. Once again, I'll pick from where my colleague stopped. So you see, regenerative practices don't just improve productivity, it improves also household resilience. So households are suffering from quite a number of issues that are bordered with food insecurity. All right, so when these regenerative practices that Dr. Ruben mentioned are now adopted by these farmers, we envision that it will improve productivity as well as household resilience. So you see, when the soil improves, the yield or the crop will stabilize over the years, right? And that means it will increase from time to time. And when the farmers begin to diversify into different crops, right, mixed cropping and things like that, we use the agroforestry to have cover over the land, and then also to improve the soil absorption and all that. And then it means that food availability will improve. Okay, available food for the family will improve. So this will now translate into food security, you know, into improved income for the household. Let me give you just an instance, all right? For instance, we have currently, due to our just within the few months intervention through the hubs that Farmer team mentioned earlier, these processing hubs, we have volumes recorded through monitoring, volumes that have increased from initially over 300 kg being processed within a whole month to over 800 kg now being processed weekly. And the reason was simple. That community, very large one, distant away from the nearest town, did not have this processing equipment. All right, it was just at a very low scale that man was doing, very manual scale. It was low, so many of the farmers would just keep their, for instance, granite or guinea corn and all that, keep them and sell it as grains. But now the women, twice in a week, where they on market days, they come with their little granite, process it, queue up long lines, process it into oil and take it to the market to sell. All right, that has now improved the livelihoods of each of those women. And if they now have something to do, they now have some income they can bring back home. All right, we now have someone who has a very big processing machine in that community whose livelihood has also increased. All right, and through him we have recorded over 3,000 farmers that have access to the markets. All right, so the more food, more income, and more ability for these households to probably invest in the education of their children, in healthcare, and then even in future, because farming is capital intensive, right? So in future farming seasons, they have some money they set aside for pesticides, for herbicides, for even to make sure they have organic manure available for them, all right, to be able to improve on the productivity of their farms. So this is how this has translated into giving a better livelihood for these farming households. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was very, very detailed in terms of how this project is going to improve the livelihood of farmers. That was very, very detailed. Thank you very much, Mr. Philip. So we are almost coming to the end of this webinar. So as we begin to wrap up, staying with you, Mr. Philip, what lessons from ESTRRA can inform scaling regenerative agriculture across Nigeria?
Okay. All right. So there are practical lessons, right? I think the first one I would want to mention is the use of integrated models, right? Models that have to do with climate smart agriculture, that have to do with the hubs, okay, which is a one-stop shop, for instance, for the farmers. All right. These models are not isolated interventions. They link one to the other. All right. We are introducing, want to bring in improved knowledge about improved varieties of crops to the farmers. How do we go about that? We pass through the hubs, which are the one-stop shop for the farmers. They are there in the community. The farmers can come there, learn about these seedlings and procure the seedlings from them. All right. Very, very close. And the proximity we are using, we are making sure to see that it's not beyond 10 kilometers radius for each of those farmers to travel. Not too far from that, so that they can all have access without having to spend too much or using traveling so much. Another thing I would want to also mention is decentralization. So now service delivery is decentralized. Okay, we now have, before then you would have seed producing companies in Nigeria set far apart. I know quite a number of them in Kaduna, Kano, and different locations of the country. All right. Communities in the northern part of Bauchi might not have access to that, unless maybe probably a farmer who is always deals in that, travels as far, brings it to that. But now the services are decentralized. We have hubs in these communities, and then we have farmer groups. So if the individual farmers can't go by themselves to access that, the farmer groups go there, they get probably discounts, and they bring it, and then their members are now getting access to that. So that also matters a lot. And then inclusion. I mentioned this earlier. It just came to mind. We mentioned this earlier. Gender, it's very, very, very important. We have had like I mentioned, over 60% of farmers are participants now in this project. We targeted over 50% of youth, but we have over 67% of them participating, young men and women participating in this project at the moment. And we're learning from that because it accelerates adoption, all right, and impact. All right, we have energetic people in the field who can cultivate these farms, who can process, who can really lift these things to the markets, link up to the market, and they are more knowledgeable in terms of the generational technologies and all that are coming forth in the terms of agri technology, mechanization, and the rest now at this point. So again, we're using data to guide adaptation. So these lessons are helping us, right? We know that we have discovered that these people do not have knowledge about these things. And so we use data. By that, we're able to know the gaps. By that, we're able to know what to intervene. By that, we're able to know what impact this can create in their lives by measuring all through the line. So these are lessons that are really very easy. They are very adaptive. They are the lessons that we can take on, even to expand to other regions and all that, where we have issues like this in the core north of Nigeria, and as well make impact the same way we are making impact here in Bauchi. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So just to add to what Mr. Philip said, so the youths are the future of any nation, and that's why they are very critical, like he mentioned, in terms of we have a large number of elderly farmers. So if this project is engaging youths and training them on these regenerative practices, then the future for agriculture in regions like this is bright, because regenerative agriculture can only benefit the community. And these youths, they are very receptive to new information, because they unlike elderly people, and they have more influence in their community. So these are lessons that I'm sure can cascade to other regions in terms of implementing and improving the adoption levels of regenerative practices. So I will go to Farmer Tim, and now we're talking about policies. So what kind of policies and institutional support, because this project itself is through the support of a donor, Aniki African Foundation, and without donors like this, project like this will not exist. So what sort of policies in terms of the government and the institutional support, in terms of donors, development agencies, and even the government, is needed to sustain these efforts in entrenching regenerative practices among farmers at large in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Mena. So one simple thing I'll say here is collaboration and partnership between the public sector and the private sector to boost extension service delivery through funding and enabling environment. This model, the Farmers Hub, is something we've tested and is working. It works. We've seen the result. Philip is just mentioning a few out of the many things that this model has brought up. And it's my dream to see that every community every farming community in Nigeria has this center not more than 10-kilometer radius away from them, so that all this good we're talking about is also being felt by farmers in those places. It is capital intensive to do, and it's not a one-man show that someone will just pick it and do it on his own. It's a collaborative thing. We've done it as an organization. We've piloted it. We've seen that it works now. Heineken Africa Foundation has now partnered with us to see how they scale this model. They came to our centers. They saw that, yes, it's not just hearsay. They really did a lot. I mean, they really see that the hub has done a lot to the beneficiaries of the centers and the farmers that came to those centers. And so just as Heineken Africa Foundation has invested in scaling this project, we're doing 14 of these centers in across the seven local governments in Bauchi North. Imagine another organization says, let's do another 14 in another side of Bauchi State or in another state. That's how we will be scaling. On our own as our organization and our partnership with OCP Africa, we were able to have up to 54 of these centers aside this 14 what I'm referencing now. So it's my dream that these partnerships bring fruits, and the fruit is the scaling of the Farmers Hub. The government can easily do this to not completely replace the extension work, but at least to complement the extension service deliveries that they had in those days. At this time, they won't be spending so much in terms of payment of salaries and all those stuff because the hub managers pay themselves from the businesses they do around the hub. So there won't be any kind of government, you're on government payroll or you are on a funder's payroll. The business we're training you on gives you your revenue, gives you your income. So I believe this kind of policies and conducive environment will be able to help scale this project further. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much from my team. We've been mentioning, we're talking about this project and how it is being implemented in 7 local governments in Bauchi North. So the 7 local governments that this project is currently being implemented in Bauchi North is Zaki, Giade, Katagum, Shira, Jamare, Gamawa, and Itas Gadao local governments. So these are the places where we started off this ESTRRA project, and hopefully, like Farmer Tim mentioned, other institutional partners, donors, and development agencies, when they see the impact of a project like this in terms of entrenching regenerative agriculture, they can come up on board, and then we expand the project into other regions of not just even in Bauchi, but across Nigeria. So we are almost getting to the end of this webinar. So I would like to close with one final question for all our speakers. Starting with Farmer Tim, who just responded. So the question is, what is one practical action that stakeholders can take immediately to support regenerative agriculture in Nigeria?
But every stakeholder in their corners should increase awareness and promote these practices by setting up centers, learning centers, just as we are doing with the ESTRRA project for practical knowledge transfer. It is until people know about these things that we can now start talking about, how are they going to begin to practice it? If you don't even know that something like this exists, how will you even make efforts to practicing or adopting what that is being preached about? So every stakeholder in the agri space should increase awareness and promote these practices. By so doing, we'll spread the gospel of regenerative agriculture, and every farmer who is not aware will become aware, and there will be a holistic change in terms of our farming practices, and that will bring an overall advantage to us all as humans. Thank you very much.
So the same question, Dr. Ruben, please go ahead.
I will say let the government make sure that the law of tree felling is properly enforced, because the level of how people are felling trees in the north and even on parts of Nigeria is very alarming. and it's part of the thing that causes this problem we are trying to solve now. So I think government need to put in more effort and make alternative sources of energy for people to use so that they can stop felling trees. Thank you.
That is a very, very important thing that Dr. Ruben mentioned. So let's go to Mr. Philip.
Okay, for me, I would mention that regenerative agriculture is it's not just an environmental solution, all right? It's an income solution, as we have seen throughout all what we have all said. It's a food security solution. Okay, it helps the smallholders to be resilient. Okay, and then to come up with more output and improved livelihoods. All right. So I would say let's invest in this I call them last mile farmer platforms, like the hub models that we are bringing in for the ESTRRA projects, that will combine the trainings we bring in to the knowledge and access of inputs that are improved. We bring aggregation, we bring market access to the farmer. If we invest in this, we would see a better livelihood for farmers, and in far regions like in the Bauchi North, would see an improved livelihood for them. And so this is what I call on all stakeholders to do, and would see all our goals being reached. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip. We've come to the end of this webinar, but before we go, there are some questions. There are some questions that were asked in the Q&A, so we will not be able to attend to all the questions, but for I think there's a question here that I'll direct it to Dr. Ruben. So this question is from Imran, who is concerned about the drop in productivity of mango in Kano State, and he wants to know that can this problem be part of climate challenges, and if yes, how can it be solved? So I think probably in his farm is experiencing, or farmers around this area experiencing low productivity from the orange trees, mango trees rather, and how is this something that is being caused by the climate change? And if yes, what can we do to solve this?
Yeah, I think a part of the problem is the high temperature. During flowering of mangoes, if there is very high temperature and a windy situation, all the flowers will drop and abort. In the time past, mango doesn't even need to be watered even during dry season. But nowadays, if you have mango plantation, when they are coming to flowering stage, make effort to water them very well. It will improve the flower retention and also improve the fruiting. Definitely, we have to look at the breeders, whether they can be developing this climate adaptable varieties for this particular situation. If not, most mangoes and other citrus are dropping flowers because of the high temperature and also windy situation during flowering.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ruben. So the other question, which was asked by Joseph wanted to know, okay, where this project, if this project is going to come into the southern parts of Nigeria. I think I will just answer this for you. Like Farmatin mentioned, if the partners are available, the foundation and implementing foundation is ready and always available to expand this project across Nigeria. So once the willing partners come on board, we'll be able to expand the project across other regions of the country. And another person asked, how can they participate or apply to these projects? So this project is currently being implemented in Northern Bauchi, the 7 local governments I mentioned earlier: Zaki, Giade, Katagun, Shira, Jamare, Gamawa, and Itas Gadao. If you are in any of these locations. We have our hubs established in these locations, and so you can visit any of these hubs. We are hub managers and trained agripreneurs. Even we have business support professionals in those areas. They'll be ready to onboard you into the project, support you in whatever ways you need support. If after this webinar, you can send us an email on the info@fsssolutions.org. Whatever location you are, send it in the email. We would direct you to the nearest or closest Farmers Hub Center that can support you. If you are outside Bauchi, we currently have our Farmers Hubs present in 12 other locations outside of Bauchi. And so if you're in, we are currently in Benue, we are in Abuja, we are in Osun, we are in Oyo, we are in Ogun, we are in Kaduna, we are in Kano, we are in Jigawa, we are also in Jos, Plateau State, and so many other states. So once you send us an email, we'll be able to direct you to any of the Farmers Hub in these locations, because all across our Farmers Hub, we are training farmers on regenerative practices. So in any of the centers, you can visit and then get access to these trainings, get access to these practices that farmers are benefiting from implementing on their farms. So I want to thank all our speakers for the insights they've contributed to this webinar. And I also want to thank our audience for joining us on this webinar. I want to say a special thank you to the Heineken African Foundation for their support on this ESTRRA project. And I want to say that as we mark the World Earth Day, today's conversation is a reminder for us that building climate resilience is not an abstraction, it's not something abstract, it is something concrete, it is something practical, something that we can see, as the speakers have all alluded to throughout this webinar. And I want to let you know that it all starts with practical actions. And these actions should be taken at the farm level, and then also be supported by the right systems, partnerships, and innovation. So on behalf of the Foundation for Sustainable Smallholder Solutions, I want to thank you all for being part of this important dialogue. We look forward to continued collaboration in transforming agriculture for resilience, sustainability, and shared prosperity. So thank you very much for joining. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.